I'll never forget the night Madison sat me down at our dining room table lit like it was any normal evening and said she needed space. But it wasn't just a break. No, she wanted 30 days to live with another man, her words, not mine. She sat there perfectly calm, her freshly done nails circling the rim of her wine glass like she was talking about a new recipe, not tearing our marriage apart. I just need clarity, she said, her green eyes glassy with fake sadness. I care about you. I really do. But I have feelings for him too, and I need to find out what life with him would actually be like before I decide. I felt something crack inside me. Not shatter. Not yet. Just split. You need to find out? I repeated, my voice empty. She nodded like this was reasonable. I don't want to throw everything away only to regret it later. That's why I need this month. To be sure. Like I was some kind of fallback. A safety net for when her shiny new option didn't work out. You expect me to just wait around? I asked, gripping the edge of the table. Madison let out a breath like I was being dramatic. I'm not asking you to wait. I'm asking you to understand. This is the only way to make the right decision. For both of us. Both of us. The arrogance in that statement was something else. Right then it hit me, this wasn't impulsive. It wasn't a mistake. It was a plan. She thought she had both of us in her back pocket. Like she was the prize and we were competing for her approval. Something inside me clicked. Not with anger. With clarity. She was playing a game and she thought she had the upper hand. But she didn't know I was already done playing. I kept my face blank and stood up. All right, I said. She looked caught off guard. All right? I nodded. You need time? Take it. Madison paused like she expected a fight. She probably thought I'd break down, beg her not to go. I wasn't going to give her that satisfaction. Instead, I walked to the fridge, twisted open a beer, and took a long, deliberate sip. I know this isn't easy to hear, she said, trying to sound wise. But this is the adult thing to do. It's what's best. I could barely keep a straight face. Sure, I muttered. Adult. She smiled then. That smug, victorious little smile. Like she just secured the win. Then she came over, kissed me on the cheek like it was some sweet farewell, and whispered, I'll see you in a month. And just like that, she was gone. The second the door shut, I got to work. His name was Ryan Keller. Some wannabe digital nomad she'd met at a leadership seminar. I'd heard his name in passing months ago, figured it was just some harmless spark. I was wrong. She wasn't just testing waters, she was ready to drown everything we'd built. So I dug into him. His little startup was floundering. His cash flow was a joke. He had a reputation for overpromising and ghosting partners when bills came due. And this was the man she was staking our marriage on? Pathetic. But the best part? He had a soft spot. And I planned to use it. Step 1, my lawyer. Madison didn't know I'd already split our joint account, half gone. She had no idea the divorce papers were nearly done. I wasn't filing yet. Not until she made her choice. I wanted them ready for the moment she came crawling back, thinking I'd still be standing there, waiting. She'd find nothing left. Her family always liked me, her mom, her dad, her younger brother. Thought Madison had lucked out marrying me. So I invited them over. Sat them down. Made a simple, honest meal. Then I told them everything. That Madison had walked out. That she was living with another man to compare us. That she planned to come back in a month and decide. Her mother looked like I'd hit her with a truck. Her father didn't say much, just clenched his jaw. Her brother said, she did what? I wasn't looking for sympathy. I just wanted the truth known. Because when Madison came back, thinking she still had control, she'd realized she'd burned the wrong bridge. And I was already walking away from the fire. Her dad sat there stone-faced, his jaw clenched so tight I thought it might snap. Her sister, on the other hand, was already on her phone, pulling up Madison's Instagram screenshots of beach selfies and sunset captions like new chapters sunrise with Ryan tagging along in the background. It was almost poetic how fast their image of her crumbled. I didn't say much. Just let them stew in the truth that their perfect little Madison wasn't just confused or lost. She was a calculated traitor dressed up in a victim's skin. From there, I let the story play out. I needed Madison to think she still had me. That when she came crawling back, I'd be waiting with open arms. So I played it slow, subtle. The grieving husband routine. Once a week, I'd send a text. Just enough to keep the illusion alive, hope you're okay. Been thinking about you. Miss you. She took the bait. Always replied, half-hearted and vague, miss you too. This is harder than I expected. I just need more time. Sure. Take all the time you want. Because when you come back, Madison, you'll be walking into a ghost town. And then, right on cue, 30 days to the mark, she came strolling through the front door. Smiling. Like she'd just returned from a soul-searching yoga retreat and not a full-blown affair. She dropped her designer weekender by the door, gave a dramatic sigh like this was all so exhausting. "I've made my decision," she announced. I leaned back on the couch, bourbon in hand. "Calm. Ready?" "Oh yeah?" I asked, swirling the glass. She gave that practiced, pageant smile, eyes shining with fake emotion. "I choose you," she said like it was some grand revelation. "Being away made me see what we have is real. You're my home." I needed to lose it to understand. She stepped forward, reaching for me. I didn't budge. Instead, I smiled, then said the words that cracked her reality in two. "I didn't choose you." Everything about her went still. Her smile froze. Her hands stopped midair. Eyes wide, searching. "What?" she breathed, the word barely audible. I let the silence hang there. "You spent a month comparing me to someone else," I said, my voice level. "And while you were doing that," I took a long, slow sip of bourbon. "I spent that time deciding if I'd even want you back." She blinked. Her hands trembled as she took a shaky step closer, like she could close the emotional gap with physical distance. "You're just upset right now," she stammered, trying to laugh it off. This was hard on both of us. We can work through it. Baby, please." I set the glass down. Stood up. "No, Madison. We can't." She froze. I could see the panic creeping in. Her brain racing to rewind, to undo what was already done. I walked past her and grabbed the envelope from the side table. She flinched when I held it out because she already knew what it was. "Divorce papers," I said. "Already signed. Just need yours now." She stared at it like it was a death certificate. "You had these ready?" "Weeks ago." 3 weeks, I said. "Just in case." Her face went pale. "You planned this." I shrugged. "You walked out. Treated our marriage like a timeshare you could pause and resume when it suited you. Did you honestly think I'd sit around while you auditioned someone else?" Her eyes welled up and the tears started to fall. But I could already tell they weren't for me. They were for what she lost. Her safety net had just snapped. And she was free falling. It wasn't remorse in her tears, it was fear. Madison wasn't crying because she missed me. She wasn't crying because she had some grand epiphany about our love. She was crying because she realized she'd miscalculated. She thought I'd be waiting, grateful, when she finally chose me. Instead, I'd moved on and she had no idea how fast the ground beneath her had shifted. She clutched the divorce papers like they were burning her hands, flipping through them with trembling fingers. You're serious?" she asked. I gave a slow nod and walked back to the couch. "You've got 3 days to sign. After that, I file them either way. And don't expect a payout, Madison, you're not getting a dime." Her head snapped up, eyes wide with panic. "What do you mean I won't get anything?" I smirked. Finally, the right question. She didn't know what I'd done while she was off pretending her fling with Ryan was some kind of life experiment. She thought she could waltz back in and pick up where she left off, like I was some backup plan waiting patiently at the station. But she underestimated me. The moment she left, I started securing everything. The joint account? Split down the middle. She had a personal expense account, barely enough to get by. The real assets? All moved. Investments, savings, anything with weight, it was locked away in a trust she couldn't touch. And the house? Still in my name. Always had been. She had assumed divorce would mean splitting everything 50-50ths. Maybe she thought she'd walk away with more, like she was entitled to compensation for her emotional journey. But she forgot one key thing, the prenup. When we first got married, she hated it. Fought me hard. "Why do we need that?" she'd whined. "You think we won't make it?" I told her it was just a precaution. She rolled her eyes but signed it. Now, that piece of paper? It was her undoing. She stared at the pages, her breath coming in uneven bursts. No, you can't just leave me with nothing." I leaned back, calm as ever. "Why not?" Her lip trembled. "I made a mistake, okay? It was supposed to be temporary. I needed to be sure." I let out a sharp breath. "You needed to be sure?" I shook my head. "Do you even hear yourself, Madison? You walked out of this marriage. You spent a month in someone else's bed and now you think we just go back to normal." She looked shattered, like she was finally seeing the ruins she had created. "You don't get to steer the ship anymore," I said. "That right ended the second you walked out that door. You gambled everything we had for a fantasy and you lost. You don't get to come back and play house because the other guy didn't pan out." Her face contorted pain, disbelief, desperation, all tangled into one expression. But beneath the heartbreak, I saw the truth. This wasn't about me. It was about losing the comfort, the protection I provided. She thought I'd always be there, that I was safe. But the life she left? It didn't exist anymore. Then came the final attempt. "What if I don't sign?" she asked quietly. I gave a lazy shrug. Then my attorney handles it. Either way, this ends. She clenched her jaw. You're really doing this? Already done. Madison wiped her cheeks, trying to pull herself together. And then she tried the last card in her hand. What about Noah? She asked, naming our son like a shield. I almost laughed. You mean my son? I said flatly. Noah already knows. I told him the truth. Her whole body stiffened. You told him. I leaned forward, elbows on my knees. What did you think? That I'd lie? That I'd cover for you? Her face collapsed. He knows. Not just him, I said. Your parents. Your sister. Your friends. Everyone. Madison raised her hands to her face like she could somehow hide from the avalanche. You wanted to test the waters, I said, rising to my feet and walking past her. I hope you like drowning. She broke. Right there in the middle of our kitchen floor, sobbing, gasping, clutching the divorce papers like they were a verdict. Her shoulders shook under the weight of the reality crashing down on her. I didn't stop. I didn't comfort her. I walked past, straight toward the front door. You can stay here tonight, I said without turning around. But I want you out by the weekend. And then I stepped outside. The air hit me like a cleansing wave, crisp, cold, sharp. I inhaled deeper than I had in years. I felt it in my chest, in my bones. I was free. Madison had always been a woman who operated best with control. Controlled the conversation. Controlled the narrative. Controlled me for most of our marriage. She walked into every space like it owed her something. But now? She was nothing. I saw it as I glanced back through the window, her frame slumped against the wall, the documents shaking in her grip like a loaded gun. She wasn't crying for love lost. She was crying for power lost. The tears weren't for me. They were for the future she thought she could return to. I didn't say a word. Didn't throw her a tissue or a lifeline. I let her drown in the mess she made. By morning, the spiral had begun. 3 missed calls by the time I rolled over. 5 unread texts before my coffee finished brewing. Please. Can we talk? I didn't mean for this to happen. It was just a mistake. Don't do this, please. I'll do anything. Can we just talk before you file? I don't want to lose everything. Please. I took a sip and let them sit there on my screen. Pathetic. She still didn't understand. This wasn't a back and forth. There was no bartering table. She thought she could negotiate with someone who no longer needed her. I said nothing. Got dressed. Went to work. Routine. Unshaken. By lunchtime, another message came through. I told Ryan it's over. I ended it. I want to come home. I nearly spit out my drink. Home? Oh, sweetheart, that's not a place you belong anymore. That evening, she tried again, but this time in person. She stepped into the living room like a stranger. Smaller. Quieter. Whatever armor she used to wear confidence, pride, arrogance was gone. She placed a mug of tea on the table like we were about to have some soft, healing talk. Like this was still her home. She sat across from me. Took a deep breath. I made a mistake, she said, voice barely above a whisper. I didn't respond. Just watched her. I thought I needed to see what life with Ryan would be like. I thought maybe I was missing something. But I wasn't. I had everything I needed right here. She reached forward, fingers shaking like even touching me now required permission. I choose you, she whispered. I love you. I was stupid. Selfish. I know that now. The room was so quiet I could hear the clock ticking behind her. I let it stretch. Let her squirm in the silence. Then I leaned back and gave her what she didn't expect. A smile. You don't have a choice anymore, Madison. She froze. Her mouth opened but nothing came out. I tilted my head, studying her like I was looking at someone I used to know. You're acting like this is a gift, I said calmly. But it's not yours to give. I should be grateful? I said, my tone cool and even. Grateful that you picked me after spending a month in another man's bed? Her eyes filled with tears. It wasn't like that. I cut her off with a sharp laugh. Madison, do you honestly think I care what it was like? I shook my head slowly. You don't get to choose me. I'm not some second-place prize you fall back on because your shiny new option turned out to be a bust. She gasped, her breath catching in her throat. No, I said firmly. No more stories. No more justifications. You walked out on our life to chase a fantasy. And now that it's crumbling, you expect me to act like it never happened. She was crying now, truly crying. Not the manipulative kind she used to weaponize when things didn't go her way. These were real, raw. Because for the first time in her life, she wasn't the one in control. I can change, she whispered, voice cracking. I can make this right. I stood up. She tensed, like she knew a verdict was coming. And I gave her one. You've got 3 days. Pack your things and be gone. She slumped, like the words had knocked the last bit of strength out of her. She knew it was over. Jason came home that night after a long shift at the garage. I told him everything. How she left. How she tried to worm her way back in like it was nothing. He didn't even flinch. She really thought you'd just wait around, he said, shaking his head. She did. I chuckled, pouring myself a drink. Jason smirked. Then she never really knew you. No, I agreed, sipping. She didn't. He clapped me on the shoulder. She's gonna regret this forever. I smiled. She already does. The next day, Madison signed the papers. No more texts. No more emotional pleas. Just a quiet signature. The sound of someone finally realizing the game was over. By the weekend, she was gone. And by Monday, she was just a ghost in a house that finally felt clean again. Jason and I got back to living. The house was quieter, lighter. Every room felt like it had finally taken a deep breath. Madison tried reaching out a few times. I never responded. She ran into mutual friends, tried to twist the story, play the victim card. But no one was buying it. The truth was already out. She had one shot at something solid, and she threw it away for a daydream. I didn't need to get revenge. Didn't need to drag her name through the mud. She did that all by herself. And the best part? I never said another word. The silence, that was the real punishment. It echoed louder than anything I could have shouted. Madison vanished from my life just as quickly as she walked out that first night, thinking the world would kneel at her feet. But arrogance only works if the illusion holds. And hers? It shattered the moment she realized I wasn't waiting. In the first few weeks after she moved out, she kept up appearances. Brunch photos. Hashtags about fresh starts. But behind the curtain, she was unraveling. I knew she'd go to Ryan eventually. He was her fallback. But he wasn't the man she imagined. I already knew what she was walking into. I'd done the homework. His business was a joke, his apartment was a rental drowning in debt, and his lifestyle? Maxed out credit and borrowed promises. Madison thought she'd walk into his life and pick up where they left off. But to him, she wasn't the thrill anymore. She was a problem. Another weight he couldn't carry. 2 weeks after she moved in, he dumped her. Kicked her out. She didn't tell anyone, of course. Tried to keep it quiet. But I heard. Word gets around. Friends spotted her crashing on couches. Rumors swirled about job hunting and trying to restart her life in a city that now knew exactly who she was and what she'd done. And me? I kept living. She made her choice. And I made mine. She tried again, not with an apology or a call for reconciliation. Madison was too proud for that. No, she started small. Liking my old posts, reacting to stories, replying to messages from months ago with little breadcrumbs like, "Hope you're doing well," as if I'd bite. I didn't. She didn't deserve my words. She deserved silence. Jason and I kept moving forward. The house without her in it felt lighter, calmer, peaceful even. We brought back Sunday barbecues. I laughed more, real laughter, not the kind I used to fake to keep the peace. I even started dating again. Jason approved. About damn time, he grinned when I told him. Madison heard about it eventually. Word got around. That's when she cracked. After months of radio silence, I got a phone call. Not a message. A real call. Her name lit up on my screen. And for a moment, I hovered my thumb over decline. But I answered. Not because I cared. I just wanted to hear her voice one last time. She was already crying. I just needed to hear your voice, she stammered. I don't know why I did what I did. I don't know what I was thinking. I didn't say much. Just let her talk. Let her spill out all the regret she'd been carrying like a boulder. I miss you, she whispered. I miss us. I smiled, cold and quiet. The kind of smile you give when the power's long since shifted. No, you don't, I said flatly. She went silent, because she knew I was right. She didn't miss me. She missed the life, the stability, the safety of knowing I'd catch her every time she stumbled. But if she ever really missed me, she never would have left. I let the silence stretch between us, and then I ended it. I have to go, Madison. Her breath hitched. Wait. Just. I hung up, and that was the last time we ever spoke. She became background noise, a ghost of a decision I would never repeat. I moved forward, met someone who didn't treat love like a revolving door, someone who didn't test loyalty like it was a game, someone who chose me from day one and never made me doubt it. Jason, he came out stronger too. He learned the same thing I did. When someone shows you who they are, you don't argue. You believe them. And Madison? She spent years trying to clean up her image. But you can't polish a reputation built on betrayal. She wasn't the golden girl anymore. She was the woman who lost everything because she thought she could do better than the life she already had. And me? I didn't regret a damn thing. Because in the end, she thought she was choosing between two men. What she never realized was that we both moved on. And that was the real punishment.